uh how do I approach certain trends with my unique perspective, I guess.
Yeah, like how do you talk about the stuff everybody else talking about, but how do you add your own flair to it so that they don't even realize you talking about what everybody else talking about?
So honestly, bro, I'm glad you asked that because I don't have no tactic with that. That's just me. So for example, I mean not for example, but like just to be honest, I really don't care about the things that's trending. But the thinking behind it, I can challenge that because I don't think like that. Right. So for example, let's say what's trending. Uh let's say I did an interview with Jess Hilarious and Chrisean Rock was trending.
Yeah,
And Chrisean Rock and Blueface. Me personally, I don't care that much or at all about Chrisean Rock and Blueface, but the world, they got the world in a chokehold. I interviewed Jess Hilarious. That's a perfect place, or that's a perfect person to talk about Chrisean Rock because they're both from Baltimore, right? So instead of me saying, yo, like,
all right, y'all. What's going on? It is your boy Easy Bake Oven. What's up, y'all? So today it's a little different. All right, now. Yeah, I used to hear ads run through my stuff for other people. All right, this is probably the first real time the ad is for me. All right, so P.S.A. Prodigy Sport Advantage Stations has expanded far beyond just the podcast. It is now a writing service. All right, and at that, a ghostwriting service. So we do it anonymously and take care of your needs. All right, homework assistant, product and profile descriptions, grant writing, resumes, cover letters, templates, books, ghostwriter book too. Anything you can think of, articles, all that good stuff. PSA the Ghostwriter Solution can do it. So go over to PSAthepodcast.com and you can see all the services there with all their descriptions. Okay, because I know I missed some. And also you can reach out to me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com and we can take care of all of that for you too. Peace. And just like that, we live. What's going on, everybody? We done been going on what 8 weeks strong. Last week was a good one. We talked about finish up talking about just the way the men have. We don't feel that we have an outlet, and we touched on. Shout out to my boy CEO Mikey who pulled up on us last week, and we talked about that. We talked about a lot of these alpha male podcasters how they right direction. Sometimes their way of going about it ain't the best. But as I keep saying, if we don't have somebody to speak up for the men, who will? That's why the society has been the way it is. And unless people come to speak up, it's gonna keep being like that. So keep that in mind. This one is gonna be a good one. This one follows off of last week's episode. And basically we're talking about this week producing, harvesting, all that good stuff when it comes to that part of the plant. Industry plant track 9, and after this one we only got 2 tracks left. All right, I don't know yet if we're gonna do a deluxe. We may or we may not. We gotta see. But let's get into this week's meme. The meme reads for the week: your time and hard work entitle you to enjoy the fruits of your labor, regardless of whether others recognize or approve of your efforts. So keep that in mind whenever you feel as though somebody trying to tell you don't deserve it, or you don't feel as though it is your time because you didn't put in the work, and now's the time. All right. Inspirations for this week come from Deuteronomy 28:12. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless the work of your hands. You will lend to many nations and you will borrow from none. And also a video I watched today talking about being replanted and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into everybody's favorite segment, Happy Hour. All right, so today's happy hour is some things I got to talk about. Something I had just seen, what maybe was it 2 hours ago? It was a topic about they're now saying transracial. Now, um, I saw something. The first thing that popped it off was this dude, and he decided that he wanted to identify as a dog, and he got the surgery done to do it. And when he got it, it was clear he wasn't a dog, but he identified as a dog. He made his family call him that, and I think he only responded in woofs and barks. He didn't respond by actual language. So I thought that was interesting. And then it led into the debate or the conversation about transracial, which some girl, 15-year-old girl, decided that she changed her name. She felt that she identified better with being a Japanese girl. And she said it was something that you could read. And when you read it, it basically told you that if you keep reading this every day, kind of like, I guess, some fake affirmations type stuff. And it said if you keep reading it every single day, that your eyes were going, she said her eyes started to slant in, her jaw was going to like start to like shrink and all types of stuff so that she can become a Japanese girl. I thought that was interesting, and that it's interesting to figure out where we go in society. Now, some people will say, like, because if you had to ask this people, our parents in them 30 years ago, that people was going to be able to say, I'm a man, I identify as a woman, or I'm a woman, I identify as a man, or that you're non-binary, they would have told you that would have never happened. And now the next step is we're seeing the beginning stages of the transracial thing. Now, I know Rachel, what's her name? Rachel Dozella, something with a D. Rachel D, the lady who pretended to be a black woman all them years ago and was an NAACP, and then she got busted. I bet she's somewhere talking about some. They're gonna let her say nigga now, because and that's gonna be the next battle. That's gonna be the next battle, because now it's gonna be on some, if I identify as black but I'm really white, then it's gonna be the battle of who can say the N-word and who can't. That's something we got to keep in mind, because I'm interested to see where that goes. But that's just something to think about. So if I'm black and I just say one morning I wake up and I say, oh, I want to identify as a white man, how does that work? Like, and I'm telling y'all, it's statistics for it, and it's a whole board, and it'll tell you how to go about it. It literally, and I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna insert the clip in this video so y'all can see it, and y'all gonna look at it. It's crazy. It's like a legit thing, and it's like, who be making this stuff? That's something to think about. Keep that in mind, because we're gonna get back on that later. Now, other part of happy hour today, I want to talk about what I've been doing. So basically, y'all know P.S.A, the mental podcast, and then you know in the ad that you see every episode, P.S.A, the ghostwriting solution. So somebody asked me what all did that entail. And I kind of broke it down at the beginning, but just now I'm giving a bigger breakdown. That got technical writing, we got grant writing, that's in the thing. We got resume writing, copywriting, we got ad writing, website content, we got cover letters. We can ghostwrite books for you. Whatever you need, we can do it. Started off as a homework business, right? Homework assistance, homework business back in the day, and then it transferred into this whole thing. And it's crazy how much clientele I've been getting because of it. So we got to keep the ball rolling, because I need more, trying to be rich. But even with that, I remember a story about, what was it, years ago. I had somebody, when I was doing people homework full time, and I remember I had somebody who acted as if, and this is a lesson for somebody, always have evidence of everything that you're doing. Every business person, keep the receipts of everything, because you just never know what might happen. So I guess this girl decided that she was trying to like get an assignment done. She got it done. This before I got stern. She got her assignment done, and then I didn't hear from, like, she got it done. She was like, okay, I'm gonna pay you in a minute. So I'm hitting her up like, hey, okay, when you gonna pay? You know, this before I took half, if not all, at first. So then she was like, okay, she said, I'm gonna send you the money in a minute. She didn't respond. Ended up being 2 days later, right? So what I did was I screenshotted all of our text messages, because obviously I was pretending to be her. So I was in her class. I had to log in and everything. And so I sent her a final screen. I kept texting her. She wouldn't respond. I sent her a screenshot of all of the messages that I had between me and her, and then sent her a template of what I was about to say to her teacher. That message was only sent for not even 3 minutes, and she texted back, and then and the Cash App thing went off. My issue is, why do I have to do all that for you to do that? Now, again, y'all, you probably thinking you stupid. You shouldn't have did the assignment first. You're right, but that was like 4 years ago. Even no matter what we do now, we take at least half the money first. So keep that in mind. But that's also something else to think about. And for all these business people out here who trying to do multiple things, always keep evidence of everything. Learn from my mistakes. And that leads into today's guest. All right, y'all. So this is somebody who is going crazy in the podcast world. He gonna have, I believe, some tips and tricks for y'all, and some things about his life that'll help y'all to advance when it's your personal development. All right. We going crazy today and another virtual episode. And I gotta introduce my boy, the mogul, Mr. J Hill. What's going on?
What up, dog? How you feeling, man?
Man, it's good, good. So thank you for pulling up. I
No
mean, we
problem.
virtual, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
Um, so I just introduced you, but I have to do it again just for my audio people. So tell the people what's your name, where you're from, and where you live now.
Oh man, what's good, man? I'm Jay Hill from Baltimore. I actually reside in Atlanta right now. Podcaster, fiance, father. You know, just a good dude. I would like to say.
For sure, for sure. So now you got the podcast network, you got all your things you've been doing. We're gonna get more into it later. But you built a name for yourself and you definitely started to see the results of it.
Mm.
Now we're not gonna get too deep into it at the moment, but I want you to say if you could talk to yourself or say maybe 3 words to yourself from 5 years ago, what would you say?
3 words to myself. Uh, 5 years ago. It's funny because it would probably be the same thing I would say to myself now. Take out your emotions. Take out
Okay.
your emotions, man, for sure.
Okay. Okay, bet. So we're gonna get into that a little later too. But now you didn't made, like I just said, and I'm gonna keep saying it, made a name for yourself, entertainment host, radio personality, motivational speaker. How do these very roles intersect and what common threads have you found in engaging and energizing audiences?
They intersect. It's funny not to sound too like arrogant or nothing like that. I think they just intersect with me, right? Because like even when I hear you say motivational speaker, that's nothing that I do intentionally. Like I never put that on my resume, right? But it's something that you saw in me by the grace of God, and I'm honored by you even putting that as a title. But that's just something like when I go through something, I don't want people to go through the same thing I go through, so I just give the game so they don't have to go through it because I wish somebody did that for me. And hosting, I think you said what, entertainer,
Yeah.
right? So and that is just, being a host is just somebody I am. Even if I wasn't hosting in the club, if I wasn't hosting parties, I love to host things at my house, at the crib. Even sometimes when my girl be like, not today, like I don't want nobody over here, I don't feel like it. Like I'm just that's naturally who I am. Like I always want to be like that. Not even want to be, I'm always naturally the life of the party, you know what I'm saying? Like just having fun. So I think they intersect through me, pause, if that makes sense, because it's like those are all who I am. So I'm really just being myself.
For sure. And that's the thing. And even what you're talking about, how it's just in you, and
Mm-hmm.
some people got it and some people don't. So how did you hone that skill that was already there?
Um, Bro, honestly, and I don't want to be too cliche, but I hone in on it just by um just not giving up. Because a lot of times, a lot of things, a lot of skills we have the skill, but we don't nurture the skill. And the only way to
Yeah.
nurture the skill is to just continue to grow, right? That's why when people ask me for advice and things like that, like sometimes my advice can come off as cliche, and I say it come off as cliche because it works. It's cliche for a reason, right? It's
Yeah.
cliche because clearly it's been proven to work. So a lot of times I don't like to give people criticism because the same criticism or the same critiques I can be given to somebody can be the same reason why they flourish, which was with me, right? So to answer the question, I hone in on those gifts by just continue to grow, and as I continue to go, will then I will continue to grow as long as I keep going, right? Because I learn from my mistakes. I continue to fail, and I continue to fail forward, right? It ain't about failing, it's about how you fail, right? I'm failing forward. I make a mistake, I learn from it, I keep going. But if I don't keep going, then I can't really nurture that, if that makes sense. So no matter what no matter what stage I am in my life, I always put something towards my dreams each and every day, if that makes sense. So that's how I really nurture it. And
No,
of
for
course,
sure.
studying, looking at YouTube videos and all that too as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, and for sure, I got some notes on that later too. But it's just kind of like that whole: if at first you don't succeed, it sound corny, but dust yourself off and try
Mm-hmm.
again. So now, because this is the industry plant series, and I'm gonna ask a few questions, there's no right or wrong answer. But if you could be a plant, what plant would you be and why?
I don't know. I don't even know the name of the plant. Uh, what's the? I think what's a tulip? That's the
A
first thing that came to
tulip.
my mind. I don't know what that look like. Is that's not the purple one, is it?
I
It
mean, they
grows. It
got a
open.
few
It
colors.
starts as white and it opens up and it blossoms and it's.
Yeah,
I think that's what I would be maybe because like first when you first look at it, it just looks so plain, but then
yeah,
as it continues to grow, it becomes something beautiful, right? And that's you are what's inside of you, not what's on you, right? It's about what you got inside of here. So I will say that because at first glance, if it didn't grow, you don't know what it's going to be. It just look like a white plant. It's like okay, and I
yeah.
think they stink and all that. It's not the most appealing, right? But as soon as it blossoms, it's beautiful. It's like I want that in my house. I want that a part of my aesthetic.
Oh, for sure. All right, bet. So the next, I got a few words, and I want you to tell me the first thing that come to mind. There's no right or wrong answer. You ready?
Okay.
All right. When you hear the word harvest, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Um, of course, like uh a field like a not a cornfield, but you know where you
Yeah,
growing crops at and things like
yeah,
that. And when it's time to harvest, it's time to go get it. I think is ready. I'm assuming. I'm not really
yeah.
sure, but that's what I the first thing I think of.
No, you're right. Define success.
Success. Success is really what you make it, man. As cliche as it sounds, but it's really about how you feel on the inside, man. It's really about how happy you are because I can have I can have what everybody deemed to be success, but if I'm not happy, then am I really successful? If that makes sense. So the moment you can find peace in yourself, that's when you really can be happy because you will be okay with whatever you got. And even that's something that I'm striving for. Like, yeah, I want the money, I want the freedom. That comes with success for sure. But imagine if I could find inner peace with myself. If I got the money or not, I would be happy. And I think that's really what success is.
Definitely, definitely. All right, and then the last one is personal growth. What comes to mind when you hear that?
Personal growth is all about you, right? I seen a video today and the guy was talking about motion versus progress, right? A lot of times you look at somebody, you can be walking in pace and yeah, that means you got motion, but what are you doing with that motion? But progress is I'm walking towards something. That's what progress is, and that's what I think about personal growth. It ain't about what nobody else doing because I could look at you and it could look like you got motion. I mean, it could look like you got progress, but you really got motion. But only I can determine my progress, right? Because what my progress is to me might not be the progress to you, right? What my progress is to me might be just motion for somebody else. What somebody else progress can be just motion for me. And I feel like personal growth is tied into that one, like hand in hand, right? Whatever, how, as long as I am farther tomorrow than I was today, then that's personal growth. That's what I think about that.
All right, bet. Good stuff. All right, so now when you define, I've defined all these words. So harvest is the process or period of gathering crops. So you was right with that.
Mm,
Success is the attainment of fame, wealth, or social status. And then
mm,
personal growth is or self improvement refers to self guided improvement economically, intellectually, or emotionally, most frequently with substantial psychological or spiritual basis. So you was in the ballpark. That was pretty easy ones, I think. All right, so let's move into the next segment, which is what does this have to do with mental health? So before we get into that, I got another question picking your brain. So you believe that your initial role on in radio acted as the foundation for growth and success of your current projects?
um, ask me that question one more time.
Do you believe that your initial role in radio acted as the foundation for the growth and success of your current projects?
100%. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So now with radio, tell us how that got started.
I mean, I started on an internet radio show. It's Love the Culture Radio. I started with a close friend of mine named Raven Paris. She was doing like auditions to have a co-host on her internet radio show, and I was I was hosting at the time, and I really didn't care to like do radio. I didn't care to interview people because I always thought I should be interviewed, to be honest. And it just I'm like I just didn't care enough about other people, to be honest, because I was so concerned with myself and my success and trying to be successful. But a friend of mine named Inkwell was like, bro, I think you should give it a try. I think you would be good at it. So I did an audition. She liked me, and then it started from there. I was doing Love the Culture Radio. We had to pay like monthly rent to be at the station every day. We had to I think we was charging like people we was charging people like small fees just so we can keep the lights on and things like that. I know it sounds
Yeah.
crazy, but like we really had to pay rent to do radio. So that's how it really started.
Yeah, no, for real. No, that's good stuff because, like I said, that's how them best stories start. That's like the foundation. Because I mean, look where you at now. Okay, so now we're gonna get back into that later. So, your life and career are a testament to resilience, and yeah. So your life is a testament to resilience. Now, you worked at the radio station. How long did you work at the radio station?
I mean, well, like all together, I had the internet radio station, then I did DTLR radio, then I did uh KYS. I think altogether it had to be like a combination of like 3, maybe 4 years altogether, because I think I was at KYS for maybe a year, DTLR for maybe a year and a half, maybe, and with Love the Culture Radio, I think I did that for like a year. So I would just, if I had to guess, maybe like 3 years, 4 years.
Okay, and how did you get out of radio? Did you quit or?
So with DTLR, I got fired. Oh, and then I forgot I was at WEAA at Morgan. At WEAA, I got fired. DTLR, I got fired. Love the Culture Radio, I think we stopped doing it because we all like was doing our own thing. So that really was Love the Culture Radio was really for us to branch off and do our own thing and be successful in our own ways. And that radio show was successful in doing that. And KYS, I think I just moved to Atlanta. So like I just moved. I tried to get in radio here. I tried to see if they could transfer me, but I was part time. They didn't really care about doing too much of that, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. So now let's get into some how does this have to do with mental health. So I got some statistics. So the first one says self-improvement and self-efficacy. A study published in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence found that self-improvement practices, including personal growth, increased self-efficacy among young men. Self-efficacy, or the belief in one's ability to achieve goals, is linked to lower rates of depression and anxiety. The second one talks about mindfulness and stress reduction. It says mindfulness, a popular personal growth practice, has linked to 25 to 30% reduction in symptoms of anxiety and depression. And then the third one says connection between career development and mental health. So according to a blog in Men's Health in 2020, young millennial men often link their personal value with their career success. Investing in career development, a form of personal growth, can lead to increased job satisfaction, thus reducing the risk of burnout and related to mental health challenges. Now, you brought up you got fired.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all been fired before. So we all know there's a light at the end of the tunnel being fired. Why did you get fired?
From which one? From which DTLR or from WEAA?
We'll do the first one, DTLR.
DTLR, I got fired for I was fighting. Actually, one of my
Okay.
friends, I was fighting somebody in the club. We had a misunderstanding. We got into a fight, and he was a full time. Well, he's a full time worker there. So I mean, they had to choose. And even though it wasn't like in the building or on the facility or anything like that. I guess they had to make a decision to show who they stood by, if that made sense. Because the guy I was fighting was a full time employee, and it was like he had to make an example of me to show that this is unacceptable, right? So like I think that was the real reason. And WEA, I got fired for like a school radio station. So the school is supposed to be dry campus, and we was drinking inside of the conference room. So like, yeah, had to get
How
rid
did
of me for that.
how they find out?
I I think they seen it on camera or something, because like it wasn't like we had a party and nothing. Because I didn't drink inside of the studio because I knew better than that. So I just went into the conference room, and it's funny because I think I think I think somebody else brought it, and like they was doing it or something, and they was like, "Yo, y'all want to drink?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure," but it is what it is. When it happened, I wasn't about to say anything like that. I just took the fall, and I lost my whole show for that. That actually hurt. And I found out at my fiance's birthday party at the time.
That's crazy because like you went to Morgan, I went to Texas Southern. Like
Mm.
people would do stuff like that all the time. That's why I'm
Yeah, but I
like,
think because it was work, like at school, maybe you get away with it, but because I was actually like I had a radio show, so I was an employee of the
Yeah.
school. If that made sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does make sense. So
Yeah.
now you didn't. So now, so can you speak on how you manage your mental health through these ups and downs, and what advice could you offer to somebody who maybe facing similar challenges like that?
Man, I manage my mental health just by I mean, of course, praying,
Yeah.
uh talking to my girl, my fiance. But it's funny because like I always would say, it's not always, but I would say it's super important to be able to be good with yourself, right? And that's something that I struggle with, and that's why we need like therapy and therapists and things like that. That's why it's so important because I'm painting a picture. Like my fiance is really good at like something I wish I was good, like vice versa, but like she's really good at talking me through some of my issues because like she's when it comes to the job, like 9 to 5s and things like that, she's mastered that level. So when I come to her about issues like that, she has the right words to say to make me feel good, right? But with that being said, let's say if we're not in a good space and I can't talk to her, sometimes I can like hold my feelings inside, and that's not a good thing. So I think if I had to give advice, I would definitely say go to therapy if you can get therapy, if you can afford it, if you can find the right resource to do it, I would say that. And it definitely just so you can be able to get with yourself so your happiness don't depend on someone else. Because if your happiness is dependent on your relation with somebody else, then you can never truly be happy. Because the moment they do anything that you don't agree with, you can't afford to let your happiness die with them, if that makes sense. So I would definitely say like go to therapy, get a therapist. And I'm not just saying that because it sounds good, but I did therapy and it probably was some of the best conversations I had in my life.
Ooh, now I got ads in the middle too. All right, y'all. So I'm betting on myself even more. We already knew about the ghostwriter solution, right? Well, guess what? The ghostwriter solution is now on Fiverr. That is right. You know how like artists be having like ghostwriters and stuff like rappers, some rappers, and like singers and songwriters. Well, guess what? I am the podcast ghostwriter. What does that mean? Content for your website, any show notes, any podcast descriptions, anything that'll make your podcast easily searchable, any other thing podcast related that requires writing, I can do it. You can also reach out to me personally. Obviously, it's the same email as earlier, the prodigy perspective at gmail.com. But you can also book my services on Fiverr. Now, I will be expanding more services, but for right now, I'm just a podcast ghostwriter. And I also can help with newsletters too for podcasts. So tap in. No, for sure, definitely. I've been to therapy two different times. One time through when I was at TSU through the counseling department because that most people don't. I think they know now, but a lot of these colleges that's cutting your fees because that's the thing with them colleges. They be paying for stuff and these a lot of fees y'all be letting go to waste and don't realize it. And
I
most
didn't
of
even
them
know
that was
that.
one of them.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't even
at
know.
TSU. Yeah, and especially the way the world is now because that was back in like 2016. But even the way the world is now for sure.
Facts.
Now, you bring up, you heard of baby God like maybe twice now. So I'm a believer, but I want you to explain why do you think it's important to keep God first?
Oh man, that's a deep question, bro. I think it depends on what you believe in, right? For me, it's important to keep God first because that's the creator of all creators, right? He's the King of Kings, right? So like he's the one, and I mean honestly, that's just the way I was brought up, right? But after that, just understanding that I want to live a righteous life, like I want to live a obedient life. I want to have a a family. I want to be successful, and I know I can't attain these things without a good relationship with God, right? And even if I mean, that's not true because some people attain them without
That's the
God,
devil.
and
That's the
that's a
devil.
different conversation. But
That's the
a
devil.
lot of times a lot of times people praising the wrong things. They think they're blessed because of God. The whole time is the devil giving them these what look like blessings. But that's another conversation. But yeah, God is just man. He's the head of the household, right? Before I am, he's there first, and man, I done seen some things that wasn't supposed to be saw and wasn't supposed to be survived through, right? And I just witnessed it, right? I'm a witness, I'm a believer of him. And it's just faith, right? Faith is what you can't really see, what you believe in, right? And that's just what it is. Like, man, God is like that's the most important thing, to be honest.
Absolutely. All right, so now continuing on with some more statistics from for how this relates to this whole topic relates to mental health. So the next one is fitness and mental well-being. Physical fitness is often considered an aspect of personal growth. A study in the Lincoln Psychiatry showed the individuals engaged in regular exercise had 43% fewer days of poor mental health per month compared to non-exercisers. The fifth one I really like is social connections and support systems. Building social connections is a key aspect of personal growth. Can provide supportive communities for young men. A survey conducted by the Movember Foundation found that 70% of millennial men said their friends are essential to the overall mental well-being. I agree with that, and definitely going to HBCU. If they ain't teach you nothing else, they taught us how to network,
Oh
and
my
it's
gosh.
people I still talk to this day, like just based off of, and it's so crazy seeing like I graduated with fall 16, seeing like where I'm at now, seeing where they at. Some people, you don't see, but then there's some who going crazy. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
trying to support, even if I don't even say I wasn't even your friend like that in college, I'm gonna repost your stuff just off of, I mean, unless you're doing some like wild stuff. But like if you ain't doing anything crazy, I'm gonna repost it because it's just like everybody, I want everybody to succeed for sure.
It's just not, and it's a sense of like like just I don't want to say proudness, but just a different type of support is say like it's a community. It's kind of like
Yeah.
whatever city you from. When somebody went out of that city, especially if it's a small city, it's like, man, look at my city, right? It's a sense of like pride, right? So it's like same with our schools. If like somebody came out of Morgan and somebody's doing good, that's a that's validation that my school is even dope. This person came out of Morgan, man. This person came, you know what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
it's definitely like HBCUs when it comes to networking, bro. That I, I I would pay everything I pay if I didn't have to have a degree or whatever. I still would pay you just for the networking experience. I think it's definitely worth it.
No, for real. I tell people all the time, like, do I personally believe that college was worth it? Yes, but most of my stuff, I down the hill. Most of my stuff came from the people and the experiences that was learned at
Facts,
that school. So
facts.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I can't even get the word out. All right, and then the last one is talking about what was it, Virgo? Digital detox and mental health. So many personal growth programs advocate for a digital detox. A blog post by the Good Men Project cited research that millennials who spend more than 5 hours per day on mobile devices are 71% more likely to exhibit risk factors for mental disorders. That's an interesting thing to keep up. But my thing is, I feel like with me, I ain't gonna lie, I'm glued to my phone. I'm glued to this whole for real. Like
Facts.
I ain't gonna count, but I definitely want to take a break. I did do a liquor cleanse for 30 days, and I tell people all the time, even if you go back to drinking like you do, that's fine. But I say people need to do it because you need to regain control of your life. And sometimes we get so caught up in like, oh, I can have a drink, I can have this, I can have that, but I honestly, my relationship with alcohol ain't nowhere near the same as it was. It's crazy how like them 30 days, and also we talked about earlier YouTube. I keep up with a lot of YouTubers and podcasts, and a dude on my show. Shout out to James Swanwick, who's over the Alcohol Free podcast. He was a person who talked about how he's been clean from alcohol 13 years, and he doing on a it started off as a 30-day cleanse. He said he lost 13 pounds. He
Dang.
said he had opportunities with ESPN, met the woman of his dreams, moved into all this stuff happened in 30 days. And for me, it was so much that happened in them 30 days. It was like, maybe I should go back. You know what I mean? But it was just like, it was crazy. So even with that, let's go to the next question I got for you. So you definitely a businessman, but you just stated already that you was the life of the party. It's what you said. So you was we got run it back. You was the life of the party. You was the man who was, the spokesman. Probably one of the life. It's feel like every HBC was the same with different people and different accents. It's weird. It's hard to explain, especially when I hear stories from other people. Now I know you can do it. So how are you able to distinguish between business and personal aspects in your professional life?
Mm. Man, that's something that's still hard to this day, right? Like we always hear, you got to be able to separate the personal from the business. And ideally, I feel like we all chasing this dream or this ideology of being able to like do business with friends and it be perfect. But sometimes that's just not reality, right? Like I would love for that to be, but a lot of times the business mess up the personal, right? And as unfair as it is, it's not unfair because I mean it's some things are just right there, set in stone. It's clear as day, right? and we always try to go against this, but it always shows to do us wrong, right? I mean, not always, because we have some examples of people having personal and really good business, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I just I have to continue. It's a constant struggle or constant conversation with myself to say, listen, when things don't happen my way with somebody that's personal and it's business related, I have to say, like, man, it's business. You get what I'm saying? It's just business. Like, for example, I have a couple friends that have like really dope platforms, and I would let it be on that platform, but I haven't yet. But that doesn't mean that they don't love me any less, or that they love me any less, or they don't rock with me the same. It's just that I probably wouldn't make sense to be on that platform right now. Just as so I have a lot of friends who don't make sense to be on my platform. That doesn't mean that I don't love them, and that don't mean I don't love them. I don't rock with them like I always rock with them. It just doesn't make sense for my business, and that's okay. But I have to continue to tell myself that, or even coach myself through that, because I mean, think about how, bro, we're humans. It's so easy to feel, but we can't allow our emotions to dictate our actions. And I think that's the most important, right? So, like, I mean, just being honest, the answer to the question is really just talking myself through it, bro. Just staying level headed always and understanding that, everything not gonna be business and personal. When you do have it, cherish it and appreciate it. But when it's not that, just understand that that's okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm big on that. Like I tell people all the time, people always be like, "You got your stuff going," and friends always hit me up like, "You always got something going, something new going on." And I actually went off on one of my friends. I'm a tough love person. I was a teacher for 6 years. I finally was able to move away from that, but thank God. But I remember one of my friends, she got dope content, like dope content. And I sent her a text one day, but she keeps something keep happening because she keep relying on somebody else to get into her stuff. And I text her one day, and I was like, "You excited to go back to school and do this all over again?" And here's the thing: it's not knocking education as a teacher, because some people I met was with some people the other day. They was like they love it. And one of my homegirls, she told me, she said, "You don't even need to reapply for no teaching job." She said, "You don't even like teaching for real." She said, "You love the kids. You don't like the teaching profession." She said, "You basically a mentor." I said, "Nah, for real." But I was telling her, like, you don't want to be there. And you
Mm.
keep making excuses not to do your stuff. Like, oh, you waiting on somebody to do this. Like I told you, I said, people are making millions of dollars in their house with these virtual episodes. I said, you do not have to do everything in the studio. Don't get it twisted. It looks better. And if you got the resources for it, then cool. But you got Carlos King. You got so many of these people out here making millions of dollars. My boy Sean Anthony in their house. So that's something I want people to keep in mind too. And hopefully, if you don't learn nothing else from that, keep that in mind. Like, you don't have to be. It don't have to look like everybody else stuff.
No, I don't. And honestly, man, as long as it's good, bro. Like, that's one thing I be telling people, man. Like when people ask for advice, bro, if you don't have it, I'm gonna tell you a free reason why. So if you don't have it, I say pick up your iPhone, get you a little Yeti mic. This is like $100. Um, you could get you some earphones, right? I done did an interview on it off the earphones. And I'm gonna tell you why, because if you have good content, people are going to catch on to it. They're going to
For
like
sure.
it. They're going to pick it up no matter what it look like, right? That's one. And then that can measure to see how good you are, right? Because if it's getting some looks when it's not so good, all right, bad. Imagine when it do look good, right? That's one. Two, it also helps you show yourself the consistency through it to see if you even ready for it. Because think about it like this: I mean, like, I don't know, maybe 50,000 in with my equipment. Imagine if you spend 10,000 on equipment just to go for 6 weeks and say, nah, I don't really like it. You know what I'm saying? Now you just spent so much money. You use what you got, and then you progress on the way, right? You see it, okay, this works for me, this don't work for me. Then you learn and you do your research, and then you pick up one piece at a time. That's just what I would say. But yeah, you don't have to have the best quad, bro. Perfect. Another example, academics. Some of my academics episodes look trash. Like if you look at early on, and not even early on, I'm saying early on this year, some of his episodes was trash, and he's still at the biggest pinnacle of, you feel me? I love academics, but it's like, and he motivated me a little bit because he would have episodes where his audio was messed up, where he didn't have the perfect lighting, where the camera didn't look the best. He still put it out, still got millions, like hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views. And that showed me that it don't always have to be the crispiest. Just get the work done.
But that's just a testament of the show must go on, and that's what these people don't have. That they don't have it. They just give up. They fold after first. The wind blow too hard. I'm finna quit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember I first started, like when I first started doing a podcast in 2018, And that's how I knew because when the enemy start trying to do stuff, that's his way of trying to saying it's gonna pop. So I'm trying to get you off early. Like my mic had went missing. Then I lost my voice. Then I fell out with somebody and they attacked it. Mind you, the podcast literally was only like 3 episodes in, and I got dragged. Like it was all stuff happening, and I'm like, bro, don't nobody even know me yet. I'm going by alias, and then you doing and all this stuff is happening. That was the proof that I needed to see. Like, oh, I'm on. I'm finna get on. At some point, man, it go right away, but it's definitely gonna come
Facts.
when it's supposed to.
That's a fact.
All right, so let's move to the next segment, which is I challenge that. And as we know, we got to challenge what we talking about. And so before we get into that, you have a unique way of podcasting. I'll give you that. I've talked there for a while now. And, we got so many people who do the same stuff. But your way of going about it is different. So how do you approach discussing popular trends in a manner that reflects your unique perspective or your certain voice?
I mean, for me, it's no, I wouldn't say it's no tactic, but I guess let me think. Uh, how do I approach certain trends with my unique perspective? I guess.
Yeah, like how do you talk about the stuff everybody else talking about, but how do you add your own flair to it so that they don't even realize you talking about what everybody else talking about?
So honestly, bro, I'm glad you asked that because I don't have no tactic with that. That's just me. So for example, I mean not for example, but like just to be honest, I really don't care about the things that's trending. But the thinking behind it, I can challenge that because I don't think like that. Right. So for example, let's say what's trending. Uh let's say I did an interview with Jess Hilarious and Chrisean Rock was trending.
Yeah,
And Chrisean Rock and Blueface. Me personally, I don't care that much or at all about Chrisean Rock and Blueface, but they got the world in a chokehold. I interviewed Jess Hilarious. That's a perfect place, or that's a perfect person to talk about Chrisean Rock because they're both from Baltimore, right? So instead of me saying, yo, like that girl Chrisean Rock is crazy, and I don't know, I'm like, yo, have you ever reached out to Chrisean Rock because clearly something is going on, right? That's a
yeah,
real conversation.
for sure.
But Chrisean Rock and Blueface is still trendy, right? That's still a trendy conversation. I can do the little clickbait, but the conversation is realer than Chrisean Rock and Blueface. It's about, yo, Jess, I can only imagine as a black woman coming from Baltimore, you wish you had mentors and somebody to reach out to you and show you the way. Yo, you got Chrisean Rock out here, and it seems like she's hurt. She's a woman. It's so easy to judge this woman. It's so easy to say what she should and shouldn't be doing. But I'm pretty sure you can relate. Have you ever reached out to her? She said yes or no. Then we had that conversation. And it started off from Chrisean Rock and Blueface, but it's really about her, right? And now she can go to it like, man, she almost cried. Like I felt the same way when I was married, or I mean when I was in a relationship, right? And I didn't want to reach out to him because you couldn't tell me nothing at that time, right? So now it's a trendy conversation. Same with I don't know, let's say a B Simone. I think I asked her about what's the baby old girlfriend? I forgot the chick name. See, I don't even know these names, but I know they
Danny
got
Lay,
into it.
maybe.
What's her name?
Was it Danny Lay
Yeah,
or something
Danny
like
Lay.
that?
So it's not the conversation not really about her versus Danny Lay, but it's like, yo, if you know in your heart you really ain't do something and she got you messed up, let's put yourself in her shoes before put yourself in her shoes that's for once, right? Or not for once, but let's say you put yourself in her shoes. Imagine if that girl, instead of going back and forth with each other, imagine if she just reached out to you and say, I apologize if you ever thought it was something, but I assure you it wasn't nothing, right? Would that hurt? Because if y'all a woman, and forget about if y'all friends and not y'all woman, right? We should want our people to win. So if you hear that if you see she's upset with you about that, even if you didn't say anything, even if you didn't mess with him, instead of feeding into the negativity, why not just be like, yo, man, I apologize. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying she did or didn't. I don't know. That's just me bringing it up, right? Like that's
Yeah,
a trendy conversation. But instead of being messy, I'm asking real questions because I'm curious. I don't really care about, yo, if you see her, you gonna fight her or something. Like, I mean, I don't care about that. Like me saying the name itself is clickbait, but if you tune in, is an actual good conversation, if that makes sense. That's just how I look at it. I just be me, if that makes sense.
no. But I mean, you keep saying I'm just being me, but what you fail to realize is that's what somebody need to hear.
Mm,
Find what you do that works, because something you do that works. You know what I'm saying? And
mm,
it's not to try to fix or try to be like, oh, I'm mixing this person, that person together. And there's nothing wrong with that, but in a sense, but you can't make it to where your personality is just a fusion of 10 different people and you
Yeah.
have nothing about you that, you know what I mean? So, okay, good. Somebody capitalizing off of themselves. So now, with all that stuff, all the good stuff, we got to be a little petty. What is your response to the haters and people calling you an industry plant?
Oh shit. I mean, I think I heard something about that one time. But I never. That's not really a conversation I hear. Have you heard that?
Not really, but you know they typically say about all these podcasts that are because I've said this many times before. Podcast is the new rap game. You know they got people in these podcasts that get stuck in these 360 deals. You know,
Mm-hmm.
podcasts have beef. I'll be trying to tell my homeboys, I'm like, bro, these podcasts be really real like beef and throwing disses at each other in these episodes. I ain't finna
Facts.
do all that, but
Facts.
people do it. But and also the fact that the whole industry plant thing that was a rap thing, but it's a podcast thing too. The girl Bobby Altoff,
Bobby. Yeah.
I like her. She funny, but
Yeah.
you know, they said she an industry plant. So, but you said you only heard it like one time. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, I heard somebody said it. Somebody said that like I don't know, I got industry connects or something like that. But I mean, it's I don't know. Like I think it would maybe make me upset or frustrated, I guess, but not really. But like I mean, because I feel like my whole story is online. Like everybody know. I think a part of the reason why people rock with me, the people that do rock with me, is because they literally seen me come from the bottom. Like
yeah,
this wasn't an overnight thing. I mean, we talking about like 6-7 years. Like this ain't just some, you feel me? But I mean, if that was to come up, I can see it being frustrating because I do work hard for this, and like these interviews are not easy to get. Even when people give me compliments of like, bro, you get all the celebrities, that'd be frustrating because it's like that's what people expect now, and it's like, and it's still hard. Like, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but I don't want to say you, but like, let's say your average podcaster or interviewer, it's just as hard for me to get them than it is for them. I probably just got a good resume of getting them, so it might be easier for me to pitch it. But bro, it's just as hard. Like I DM in people a million times. Like it's just as hard. So yeah, I mean I could see how it would be like, wait, what? You crazy, but I probably won't pay no mind because like I don't that's not the majority, if that makes sense. Now, if it was the
yeah,
majority, I'd definitely be frustrated. Like probably hurt my feelings. Like, man, you crazy. Like, I'm the last thing of that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. So when we talk about personal growth and we challenge that, is there times where with our personal growth that we maybe shouldn't invest or can we overdo? So, with statistics, there's an overemphasis on career development. A blog on Forbes highlighted the risk of overfocus on a career and personal success can lead to burnout and neglecting other aspects of one's life. So, keep that in mind, people. Not to always overdo it with your work. Take your breaks. And I tell you all the time, if you don't take a break, your body gonna take it for you, and it's gonna be
Facts.
longer and it's gonna be worse.
That's a fact.
Mental health struggles. A report by the American Psychological Association indicated that personal growth initiatives could sometimes exacerbate existing mental health problems if not approached with caution. For example, someone dealing with a serious mental disorder might find some improvement techniques or counter techniques triggering or counterproductive. The third one is unrealistic expectations and pressures to succeed. The cultural pressure to continually strive for personal growth can lead to unrealistic expectations and even disillusionment. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology linked the pursuit of unattainable goals with increased stress and depression. Millennial men facing this pressure might need to reassess whether investing in personal growth aligns with their genuine needs and values.
Mm.
So, who has been, let's do top three because I don't want nobody feeling away. Top three. Who have been your favorite interviews?
Just hilarious. Uh, let's see. Let me see. Um,
He got to look at the stuff. Yeah, he got to push it.
Probably Fat Trail.
Okay.
Uh, just hilarious. Fat Trail and um, ah, it has to be between like Zanique or Channing Crowder. I'm gonna
Okay.
just go with that. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that would be my top three.
And we ain't got to go too deep, but what makes them three or four, three, four, whatever stand out? Why are they your favorite?
I mean, I think they were the most authentically themselves, right? Like just hilarious. She was herself. She didn't keep on getting counted. She just been just being super vulnerable. Channing Crowder, he was himself, which allowed me to be myself, which allowed us to like bump heads so much. You would think we was about to fight in the interview, but it was great because he was him, I was me, and we could have a great conversation. Same with Zanik and who else I said?
You
Fat
said
Trail.
Crowder.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
so
Fat
like
Trail.
I think Zanik was just authentically herself, and even though she didn't want to answer some of the questions, she was able to articulate it in a way for me to understand, like, man, I want to answer these questions, but you got to understand, no matter how good or how good of a conversation that we're having, the and how vulnerable I can be to you, and you understand, the world will always weaponize my vulnerability, and that's a scary thing to see. But her being able to like articulate that in a way for me to understand, it just showed a lot about who she was. So I think for sure those 3, 4, for sure, easy.
All right, bet. All right, continuing on with the list for with the challenges. So, neglecting other life responsibilities, investing time and resources in personal growth at the expense of other vital responsibilities such as family and relationships can lead to imbalance. The fifth one is lack of personalization in personal growth strategies. Generic personal growth strategies might not suit everyone. And that's something I want people to understand too. Like we can put all these blurbs out and these little posts, but like everything don't work for everybody. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm glad I'm in this space doing what I'm doing and having so many different guests that are just so versatile because everybody brings the uniqueness. Everybody brings something different. We got you one week. We done had you just call him like spade to spade, a white Caucasian older sleep therapist one week. You know what I'm saying? You just
Mm.
never know. But everybody, the goal is to help somebody or to help my target audience, of course. And it says that the next one again, I'm bringing up physical health. Physical health implications. Overemphasis on fitness or physical personal growth can lead to injuries or health issues if not approached with moderation and proper guidance. Them health gurus, I'm gonna get in that second. A 2017 report by the National Institute of Health highlighted the risk of overtraining, particularly in young men who may be susceptible to societal pressures to achieve certain physical standards. Remember, them health gurus that you be seeing. Let me tell you something about content real quick for folks that don't understand. Sometimes your favorite content creator, even if it don't look like it, they may change clothes, change hats, and record 4 different things in the same day. So you wouldn't know, and it look like they upload on different days. Look like they doing it every day. They not doing that. Them fitness people, they might be a 2 a day. They put different angles. They done change clothes. So don't think that these people working out that intense every day.
Mm.
Because I think a lot of us will see that and be like, oh, I'm supposed to be at the gym right now. Now you
Mm-hmm.
pull something. Now you laying up with your hamstring torn and you out for 3 weeks and you got fat again. I didn't seen it happen. I'm for real. Okay, so great segue. Producing content. Take us on an average day in your life of producing content. What is your typical inspiration, motivation? Do you see some on TV, on YouTube, and like, I got an idea? Do you see somebody on the blogs and you be like, what's their email? How does it go? How does it work?
I mean, well, it's two different things. So like, yeah, I'll see something on YouTube and like I have an idea. For example, I seen Sydney. I always mess up her name. Uh, Sydney McLaughlin. I think that's her name. She's a track runner for the United States. She's a 400-meter track runner and a hurdle runner. And so I was watching her vlog and it was just super dope. And I'm like, man, this is fire. And like, so I'm into like production and behind the scenes. Is weird because as much as I'm on camera, at the more I invest in myself, the more invested I am into what it takes to make this stuff happen, right? To make it how it look. So I seen the vlog, and then I seen the vlog or the video of the person that shot her vlog, and I was just super like blown away because it was just so dope. Because I just watched the vlog and I wasn't looking for it, and it was like I don't know, 24 hours shooting with Sydney McLaughlin or something, and he was showing what was like the process it took to shoot the vlog, what he was thinking about, what he did, how he shot it, and I'm like, man, that's super dope. So I'll see that, man. When I vlog, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. I want it to be like this. So research is definitely number one. When it comes to interviews, if I see somebody that's interesting, I'll just DM them, probably send them an email, send them a follow up. I mean, 100 times over. But like just a day in the life when it's recording or of recording or a week, I might, stay up, do my research, write my questions down. Uh, then I try to like order the questions in a way that could tell a story. And then I try to like build thoughts on things. Even and if I don't have thoughts, I probably like look at videos or um whatever is around that conversation that I'm the question that I'm asked, and I'll look at comments or whatever. Then I'll get ideas from other people, and then I'll challenge that with my own thoughts, and I'll create my own perspectives, and then I'll bring that forth to the conversation to make for a great conversation. Uh, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it, bro. Just staying invested in my own craft, watching my interviews, watching other people interviews, watching just behind the scene things so I can make it look good. All of that, to be honest. Like even like with this, it's like I know how to set this up because of what I saw on YouTube, right? Just being able to just have this on hand, right? Just to set up. This ain't I don't even use this for the studio, so it's always invested in learning. Self investment is the best investment.
Absolutely. That's one of the quotes for the episode. Now, reveal, because I'm all about working in private or working in silence. And you know, a lot of people say they're working in silence, but then they're telling everybody what they're doing in their story. And just because you said in your close friends don't mean that don't count. That still count. Now, reveal as much or as little as you would like. What is one of the goals of your network that you built with your two hands?
Oh man, it's a lot of goals. So I want to be able to create financial freedom for myself and my family, and for the people that work for me. Right. So like just being completely honest, I want to be able to have this pay all my bills. I want to be able to just live off, not well, yeah, live off it. To be honest, I want to be able to have my YouTube replace my full time jobs. Right, that's one. I want to be able to. One of my small goals is get 100,000 subscribers. I want to eventually bring on other shows on the network. Uh, I want to average upwards of 100,000 on up per video I drop, right? I want to be able to bring on a random person and you don't see a drop or diminish in my numbers. And even if it is a diminish, it's not that much because they come for me in the conversation, not the person or the guest. I mean, it's a lot of goals, bro. I think that's for now.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I like that too, and that's something I definitely want to do. Like I, of course, connect with other people and use, and then of course, they platforms help mine grow. But I want to be the person that then I never, no matter how many big guests I get on my stuff, I never want to forget people who are upcoming because I think we've all been there, and
Mm-hmm.
you just never know how. Even if that person ended up quitting that specific whatever, or whether or not they, or whatever, they'll never forget that. And you could have just really made their moment with that just from you having this platform and putting them on or getting on their stuff. And you just never know what eyes will come from it. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right. So now the episode is about harvest. And this episode, we talking about harvest and producing all that good stuff. And we talked about a lot of the different synonyms. So when it comes to the plant form and how it relates to personal growth, harvesting represents the final phase where the full benefits of personal growth are realized. All right. And then enjoyed. I like that part. It's the accumulation of hard work, persistence, and dedication. Much like harvesting crops after a season of growth, the harvest in personal growth may include achievements like career advancement, improved relationships, greater self confidence, or fulfillment of the personal goal. And then, of course, with producing, this relates to the continuous cycle of growth and contribution, just as well-tended garden continues to produce crops. Ongoing personal growth leads to continuous self-improvement and ability to contribute positively to others in the society. All right, so good stuff. And yeah, we all know about producing. I mean, we producing like this too, but we also producing fruit as far as metaphorically because we getting the views, we getting the people that's enjoying the conversation, we getting the deals that you know what I'm saying. It ain't necessarily a 360 deal, which you may or may not want that. We do your research on 360 deals, but it's just the opportunities that come with it, brand deals, whatever. All right, so let's move into the next segment, which is the weekly sabbatical. And then this is the time where we just kind of reflect. So, could you describe your upbringing in Baltimore and explain how it contributed to your development into an emerging media mogul?
Baltimore just gave me the grit, to be honest, bro. Like it made me tough. It taught me how to go through to deal with different adversities, right? It really taught me to be able to, as painful as it was and as hurtful as some things were, it was able to teach me those things young, so I didn't have to go through it at an older age, because that's when it's the most detrimental, right? So I think definitely that, man, it prepared me for the hard times when the going gets tough to keep going, right? I learned those things early, and that's mainly what it taught me, man. And honestly, it taught me some positive things. Like it taught me how to be how to grow into a man, right? The characteristics of a man. We always hear these things about like street code, like not snitching and things like that. But it depends on how you look at it, right? It's not you change your mind, you change the way you think, you could change your life. So I was able to differentiate what the street meant by these things, right? So it ain't about snitching. It's about being a man and taking accountability for what you did, right? Not bringing somebody else into a decision that you made for yourself, right? uh being being accountable for your own self, right? Let's not look at the negative connotation to it and what the streets call it, but just being a man, right? And being a man of your word, right? Some people might call it being an F boy or whatever, but when you look at it and for what it's worth at the core of it, it's really about being a man of your word. Whenever you say something, your name is on the line and you protect your name. So like I think this is what Baltimore taught me. I had to learn how to dissect it when I got older. Because when I was younger, I took it for what it was worth and for face value and not being a, a punk or not being a snitch. And then I grew up and I understood like, yeah, I can fight, but fight for the right thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to fight the guy next to me or the person that look like me, but I can fight to stay in school when the going gets tough. I can fight to stay to continue to get good names in my podcast when it don't seem like nobody is in the forefront to get it, right? So like I just had to learn how to differentiate it in the way that can help me and benefit me and not hurt me and be of my demise.
Okay. And so you live in Atlanta. You said that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the cities that you could have moved to, what made you go to Atlanta?
I
Black
mean,
Hollywood.
honestly, it was the easiest, and I've been here a couple times. People said this is where everybody was at. My friend was here. Like I mean, there was a lot of opportunities. They said like people come here all the time. I saw, so I was like, bro, I'm gonna do it. Like I think I said it maybe 2 years before I even did it. Like I was like, man, Atlanta is the place to be because that's where everybody at. And it was proven to be that. Like I came here and you can literally just be in a restaurant and you see a celebrity or whatever, and that's where I needed to be. So I made it happen.
Okay. Yeah, basically, and it's crazy because, like I said, I live in Houston, and Houston, and they always say, what they say, Houston and New Atlanta. I said, nah, for real, it's just a little country, but it's,
Mm-hmm.
and I've watched the transition because I came out here for school, so I've been out here since 2012, and like
Mm-hmm.
I literally have seen the transition, and that's crazy. But no, definitely, that definitely makes sense. And you making it happen. You gotta be hustling. I remember DJ Khaled talked about when he worked at, what was it, Finish Line or Champs or one of them, and he talked about how he was in there hustling. He would be selling shoes, putting his mixtapes in the shoe boxes. So I'm all for the hustle and for the grind. So we love to see it. And then this also leads to the next part. So as always, I leave y'all with some tips that I found from personal experience as well as research. And so this week we're talking about personal development, personal growth. So I have 4 ways to invest in your personal development, and my boy Jay Hill is going to either co-sign with it or add his 2 cents. All right. So the first one is mental health and mindful practices. So millennial men often face societal work and workplace pressures. Engaging in mindfulness and mental health practices can increase emotional intelligence and reduce stress. And a study published in JAMA Internal Medicine in 2019 found that mindfulness meditation led to a 25% reduction of anxiety. And then other tools and websites like Headspace and Calm offer tools and practices specifically designed to cultivate mindfulness. So I think that's a good one. The second one is invested in continued education and skills development. So the job market has changed drastically. So you're going to have to get with the program with something. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these things is going to take y'all jobs. And when I say invest in education, that ain't always school. Because sometimes YouTube University, we had my boy Mike on some weeks ago talk about that. YouTube is a real thing. You can learn a lot.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like I said, man, self investment is the best investment. Self development is the best development for sure.
A LinkedIn learning report found that 94% of employees would stay at a company longer if they invested in their learning development. And websites like Udemy offer a wide variety of courses for skill building, ranging from coding to leadership development. And then, like I said earlier, YouTube. The third one is building strong social connections and networking. We didn't went over that. I'm going to just beat it again. This is good. It is vital for personal growth and development. You don't never know. And it's not just getting in the club for free and we're skipping the line. Like, you just never know who will be like, hey, you still doing this? Yeah. Hey, we need somebody over here. Can you do it? You got
Facts.
a job. You've been without a job. Like I said, I got a writing service. All these businesses need something written. Even if it ain't, even though AI is taking over, it's not gonna take over writers fully. It just, and not this point. Maybe I still don't see it all the way, just because it's just still stuff only certain that people can do. But according to a study by the American Sociological Review, individuals with more diverse social connections reported higher levels of happiness and maintain better job opportunities. So, see, we got some statistics behind it. And the last one is investing in one's passion in life. Pursuing one passion can lead to more fulfilled and meaningful life for millennial men. Aligning personal growth efforts is what truly inspires and excites a person. A study by Deloitte found that up to 88% of workers believe passion is crucial to success. Websites like TED Talks features numerous of inspiring speakers who emphasize the importance of following one's passion, and books like The Passion Paradox by Brad Stolberg and Steve Maggis provide insight and findings. All right, so now, gotta ask this. You've done all this stuff. You keep it going, the ball going. It's clear you've matured a lot. It's from where you used to be to where you are now. How would you define maturity, and how do you think it's played a role in your personal growth today?
I mean, maturity. How do I define that? Again, I would just say with growth, the same thing, man. Just I think maturity is patience as well, but I also think maturity is the ability to understand that everything is not going to work the way you want it to work, right? And I think it played a role in my life because it was at a time where when things didn't work in my favor, I got upset about it, and still to this day, I'll probably get frustrated. But I learned how to react differently, right? I think maturity, when you're mature, you are patient, you have grace, and you just have like love, right? You understand what you can and what you cannot control, right? I think is a serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. But the most important of all, my favorite part is the wisdom to know the difference, right? And I think that's what maturity is, because not everything you can change. And when things go wrong and things don't go your way and you get upset, it's how you react to it. A
Yeah,
lot of
for sure.
times you get in trouble because of how you react to it. And it's unfortunate. But even if you look at sports, a lot of times the person that reacted is the person that got caught. Same thing in school, same thing with relationships. And as unfair as that may seem, that's life. That's the reality of life. And I remember my mom telling me when I was young, like she used to say when I got in trouble, I wasn't, or I would got in trouble in school. She had to come to school. She would say, "I'm not mad at you. You're not in trouble with me because you got in trouble, but you're in trouble with me because you got caught." And as crazy as that sounds, it goes back to like being the second one to do it. A lot of times you got to be able to. She's the point was she used to always say, allow me to be there for you, right? Allow me to
Yeah.
take up for you. Because what happened, I would get in trouble in school and I would just make a scene when I felt like I was right. But by time she got there, I made a scene. Now I am wrong, right? I didn't give her enough space to be there for me. So a lot of times in our relationships and business ventures and things like that, when something go wrong to us, the first thing our mind go to is to react in a negative way. And now by the time you react in a negative way, even if somebody wanted to apologize or make it right or make it better, because of how you treated them, not treated them, but because of how you reacted, now is the only way you can go is down, right? The only way it can go is left. And I think that's what maturity is, just being slow to react and understanding that everything might not be what it seems to be in your eyes, through your eyes. Somebody can do you dirty through your eyes, but through their eyes it was a mistake. And you should
Yeah.
and give yourself enough time to see if it really was a mistake or if it was really them being petty. But the moment when you react quickly, right, you don't really give yourself the chance to know if it was meant or not, or if it wasn't meant, if that makes sense. So I think like maturity is definitely like just acting slow, being patient, and uh, an ability to change your mindset. And it worked for me in my career because you can't go far with acting just out of emotions and acting quickly. When it comes to business deals, again, let's get away from the negative connotation around it. When it comes to business deals, you got to be patient in saying yes, right? You got to be saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me talk to you tomorrow. So that's maturity, right? I think maturity definitely worked in a ton of ways when it came to my career and my growth as a man, to be honest.
Well, no, but I mean that's the truth because you don't want to make a decision out of haste. And we talked about, you said you mainly brought the negative, but even the positives too. You don't want to make you got 3 job offers, sleep on it, pray on
Mhm.
it. Don't just make it right now because you just never know. You know what I mean? And even with you on the grind, even though to everybody look like you made it, and you like, I'm still got more to do. Because sometimes people think you own, and you like, I ain't even scratched the surface,
Facts.
and you on some stuff like y'all talking about me. I'm doing the same thing y'all doing. I'm DMing people. I'm emailing people. That's why I told one of my homeboys. He was like, how you get so and so on your podcast? I said I emailed them. I DM'd them. I said they don't respond. You can't take that personal because
Hmm.
you have to understand they busy. Now what you can take personal is them niggas that's just like you, that you grew up with you, that know you personally, that hold you on your stuff. Them you can get mad at, but these big, you just gotta accept it because they don't have to do nothing for you.
Facts.
So if they out there saying, yeah, let's set it up, you know what I'm saying? But you'd rather say I try, and also this, let me say this too, with being petty and mature. When y'all do get in the same room as those people, whatever you doing, don't be petty and act stank with them like, oh, I emailed you that one time, you ain't respond.
Hmm.
Like, you know how many people they talk to? Like, come on, you can't be like that. All right, y'all. It's been a great conversation. So we moving into the last segment of the day, which is game time. This game is called Fruit or No Fruit, kind of like Deal or No Deal. I'm gonna name 6 scenarios, and I want you to tell me whether or not that scenario fruit was produced. Well, even if it was fruit, it was a good fruit, or if it was bad fruit. So fruit, good fruit, or no fruit if it was nothing good. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. The first one is launching a community art program in your neighborhood.
Mm. Fruit for sure. Wait, like, did I do that?
No,
Oh,
no,
no,
no.
no, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah, that's good for sure.
Graffiti on public buildings.
It depends where it's at, man. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some good graffiti on some public buildings, and it's supposed to be there, like in the art district in Baltimore. So shit, I'm gonna say fruit, bro. Fuck it. Say
Well, my thing is too. I'm laughing because like in Houston, they got that big thing on the freeway that's like known when people use it on TV shows and everything, and they say be someone or whatever. So that's graffiti, and it's a graffiti technically bad, but I mean that it made it to where it's like a thing.
yeah, it's
All right,
expressing art.
yeah, for sure. High rent forcing small businesses to close.
No fruit.
Educational workshops in undeserved areas.
Undeserved. What the hell is that? What that mean?
So basically, doing a workshop in like educational for people who don't. When I say don't deserve it, undeserved areas is like, say for instance, you doing a educational workshop for Black and brown youth in like Bel Air, like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, nah. Hell no. No fruit.
local podcasters collaborating.
Fruit for sure. Yeah, of course.
All right, the J Hill network creating like Revolt and Daily Wire.
Fruit for sure. Yeah.
I bet. All right, let's move into the last thing for the audience. So, what is one area in life that needs a change? Tell me about the personal investment you plan to make this week. All right, y'all. Remember, you win money when you do this stuff. Cash out. All right. So, you done popped up on me. We really got everything going. You led into the next episode for next week because you know we're keeping a story going, which is about maturity and the prime part of the plant. And it features my boy Reginald. All right, he got a good story, and me and him have been trying to link for a long time, and we finally got a chance to do the episode. So that episode is gonna be great. But before you go, great episode again. Anything you want to lead the people with?
Man, just keep going, man. When people tell you stop, don't stop. Just keep going. I know it sounds cliche, but for real, man, keep going because that's consistency is going to win every single time. Consistency. Continue to be consistent. Uh, you know, take everything what people say. Take what people say with a grain of salt because what makes you special, they just might not see it yet, and it might be so different that they're going to challenge you and tell you shouldn't do it, but don't continue to be you. But you got it's a thin line between listening as well. So Just understand that not everything people say you gotta listen to, but at least keep an open ear to it.
For sure. And also, which I gotta understand it too, especially with creating content, it's just all it takes is that one moment to do it. And then it's like being jailbroken, like on the TV. Like once you jailbreak it, it's jailbroke. It may take a minute to get it, but once it's broken, ain't no going back to not. You know what I mean? So just make sure that when your opportunity comes, not only that you get it and you can, but you not that you can pray, you can sustain it, and also that you ready for it emotionally and mentally, because you will hate to get in that platform and all the eyes on you. You one, not prepared, and two, people trolling you and dragging you, which they're gonna do, and you can't take it, because then what you gonna do? Ain't nobody got time to be going and hiding. All right, y'all. So this has been a great episode. Tune in to me next week. All right, P.S.A. signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And I love us for real.